This is Viewed and Reviewed, the monthly show where I review everything I viewed, and this is December 2021, the final month of 2021. Now, before we get into it, just to notice that if you watch my content regularly, you'll know that I post content every Saturday, midday GMT. Well, next Saturday is Christmas Day, so there won't be a video on that day. Let's face it, we all have better things to be doing on that day, so no video next Saturday, but maybe keep an eye out on my channel on the day or two before and after, just in case. Now though, let's get on with the reviews and all the things I viewed this month. Encanto. As you'll soon find out, this has been a very musical month, and not in a bad way. First up is Encanto, the latest Disney animated movie with music from Lin-Manuel Miranda, about a family living in a magical home, a paradise, where each member has some sort of special ability or power, all except one, who fears they might be endangering the magic around them. It's very risky stuff. This is a fun, energetic and occasionally exciting film. The musical numbers are the highlight. The characters are fun and quirky and likable, the animation is fantastic. The problem is that the story is very generic and straightforward. It doesn't do enough to reinvent the wheel, but it will entertain younger viewers. Older ones might be left wanting a little bit more from it. Encanto, translated to English, means charm, according to Google. This film has some of that, but not as much as I wanted. Reservation Dogs Season 1. From one underrepresented community to another. Reservation Dogs is a comedy drama about Native Americans living in a reservation, and the gang rivalry and shenanigans that they get up to. So, this is okay. One of the issues the show has is in balancing the comedy and the drama. The first few episodes, for example, are very much comedies, which is an issue when the later episodes get really dramatic and very emotional at times, and as a result the show and the story loses some of its momentum. At times it seems like the writers are going nowhere fast, and they don't always seem to know what they want the show to be. Luckily, the central cast of characters are mostly likable, with only a couple of exceptions. The exploration of Native American life is well done, as well as the examining of racial stereotypes and tropes. I like this show. When it's trying to be funny, it's funny. When it's dramatic, it's emotional. But it often left me wanting more, and not in a good way. And I just wish it mixed those things together a bit better. Arcane Season 1. Video game adaptations have a messy history. A really messy history. Even the good ones aren't all that good in key ways. Along comes Arcane, an animated series that's a prequel to League of Legends. This is not only the very best video game adaptation ever made, but also one of the best animated shows ever made. Seriously, it's absolutely fantastic. In terms of story, it has a lot of layers and depth, and exploration into politics and war and gangs and so on. There's a lot going on. It's about gangs in the slum-like area wanting to rebel against the rich and the wealthy and the snobbish in the fancy area of the city. The overarching story is actually the least entertaining part of the show. It does sometimes lack originality, although there are some surprises and cool, exciting moments along the way that help make up for it. The characters are well realised, brilliantly acted, and they all have great depth and detail to them. They make you care. The true shining element though is the animation and the visuals. This is one of the most visually stunning and captivating things I've ever seen. The score, the music, the direction, the visuals, the acting, it's all fantastic. And you don't have to have any knowledge of the video games at all to enjoy it. I certainly didn't, I've never played League of Legends, and I loved this. House of Gucci. The latest dramatic epic from Ridley Scott is here, and boy, is it epic in many, many ways. This is an interesting film about the marriage and the relationship at the center of the Gucci empire in the 70s and 80s. What's interesting is that there's a lot I really liked about this film, and a lot that I think is just absolutely terrible. And that's weird. It feels like some members of the cast and crew were making one film, and the rest were making a completely different film, and then they just slap them together. It doesn't always work. Certain actors are good, They're charismatic and likable, and the performances are really quite good at times. But even the good performances often drop in and out of their accents from time to time, and the accents are a little stereotypical. Not every actor gets a fascinating character to play, and some have very little to do at all in the film, which is disappointing, but they do make the best out of it. Then there's one actor who I'm not going to name, who is absolutely bewildering and distracting, and I honestly have no idea what the direction for this actor was, if they even got any. Because wow, they're just in a totally different film to everyone else. The things I liked about this film though are the central relationship, the visuals, the music, the score. The film is overall okay, but it is long, predictable, and the quality is jarringly all over the place. Ridley Scott, he's a lot better than this. Hannah, Season 3. So, Hannah is back, this time with a shorter final season. The shorter aspect is really what makes this season shine. The slow pace of the past seasons is much less of an issue here. The writers know they only have so long to tell this story, and they capitalise on it to great effect. The show is thrilling, tense and exciting, and it does a great job at wrapping things up, explaining plot points and details, and providing every character with some form of closure. It's a pretty good final season. This season also introduces the main villain of the series. Maybe a little late, but hey, it's a nice touch, and I won't spoil who it is, but they do a decent job. It's just a shame that the character isn't that unique or original. They're kind of just a bad guy doing bad things. Wreck. Something older now. An older film, one of the earliest found footage films in fact, and arguably one of the best too. This is about a documentary crew who follows a fire team on their route only to get caught up in a zombie outbreak. It was later remade in American form. It takes a lot of inspiration from the Blair Witch Project, adds in more action and excitement, and it's a fun, tense film. I especially like how it ups the momentum in the back end and starts to explain what's going on. It's also a short film as well. Sometimes the camera can be a little erratic, sometimes everything can look a bit cheap and feel a bit corny, but it mostly comes together quite well, and it's ultimately just a fun, sometimes scary horror film. Check it out. Lost in Space Season 3. So, Lost in Space is back for its final season. Like Hannah, it's shorter, and that really helps focus in on what matters, helping the show provide closure for the characters and to build to its final conflict. This season is about as good as the others. It doesn't really do much different. It has brilliant visuals and special effects and well realized and acted characters. But every episode follows the same generic formula. They set up a situation, the characters use their brains to find a solution, and guess what? They get out of the situation. It's always fun and exciting, but the repetition does become tiring, especially when this is exactly what happened in the prior 2 seasons as well. Overall, an okay final season. Spiral, from the Book of Saw. So, I've talked about a few TV shows coming to an end, but now for a film series that never knows how to end. Spiral, from the Book of Saw is the latest attempt to continue the Saw franchise, and it's the first sort of spin-off, arguably. Let's get the good out the way first. The film has good visuals, it's very pretty, and it takes clear inspiration from Seven. It's by far the best looking Saw film, with the biggest budget as well it seems. However, the characters are aggressive and angry, constantly. Not a single one of the characters in this film is likable, meaning you don't care what happens to them, and in certain instances, I found myself actually wanting bad things to happen to them, because they're just horrible people. The story is much more of a fast-paced detective investigation rather than your typical Saw victim trying to survive a series of traps story. The twist ending is unoriginal and predictable too. The film tries to reinvent Saw, but accidentally just does what all the other Saws have kind of already done, albeit with a bigger budget, more big name stars, and better visuals. Disappointing. West Side Story. The 2021 edition of West Side Story is a fun, new take on the classical musical. Steven Spielberg does a brilliant job at directing this, focusing in on the characters and brilliantly portraying the song and dance sequences. This is a stunning film in terms of direction and cinematography. The story is essentially Romeo and Juliet, so if you like that, you'll probably like this. There's a central relationship that seems very rushed and is hard to get behind and believe, but it's kind of understandable because without that rush, the film would be far too long, and it's already really long. The music isn't my cup of tea, but it will be for a lot of people out there. If you like musicals, this is a good one, but it's kind of stuck in the 50s in certain ways. Succession, Season 3. The final review of this month is the 3rd season of Succession. This is the best TV show on today. It's about bad people with a lot of money, vying for power and favour from their horrid father. It's a soap opera in a business empire, basically. And it's great. The show has no flaws whatsoever. The cast is fantastic across the board. Each one of them has distinct flaws and personality. They all feel real and they all somewhat likable, despite being horrible and totally unrelatable because of their entitled, well-off lifestyles. Music, score, production, sets, locations, it's all fantastic. Watch Succession if you haven't already, and if at first you don't like it, give it another go, because it took me 3 sit-downs to actually get through the 1st season, and I don't regret it at all. So, that's December. I recommend you watch Succession and Arcane on TV. In film though, there's nothing I would strongly recommend. Encanto is for the younger viewers, but it lacks depth and originality. House of Gucci has moments if you want something more serious, but with some bizarre creative decisions and choices in there. Anyway, that's it for now. Remember, no content on Christmas Day next week, but there will be something around that time, so keep an eye out. And if you've liked this video, why not subscribe to my channel to get more content like this, and of course, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at _GrantBurton. Until next time though, have a happy Christmas if you celebrate it. If not, have a happy weekend. And, of course, Happy New Year as well.